Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, so I'm kind of in a hurry here. This is kind of quick and dirty. This morning I saw that they released some new firmware for the Hubsan Zino. So I quickly got a battery charging and charged up my controller, and I upgraded everything. And I'm trying to remember what that new firmware number is. It was completely different from the old firmware, flight control firmware number series that we were used to. But I loaded it all up. I did the flight control, I did the gimbal, and I did the camera firmware, which is that version 3.8 that was so troublesome the last upgrade that we had, the last update. But I went ahead and loaded it anyway, because thinking that, hey, does it work in conjunction with the new flight control firmware? I don't know, but I figured we wanted to give it a fair test, so that's what I did. I also brought an SD card with me with the previous 3.6 firmware, camera firmware version. So if I get it up there in the camera quality, if I can see on the FPV, if the camera quality looks really bad, we'll just land it. I'll quickly roll back to the 3.6 and go from there. But mostly in the change log, it was pretty vague. It said something about the battery meter. Who knows? So we'll take a look at that on the app. I noticed that my app must have updated because it now has the Zino Pro as a selection on there. So maybe they changed something. I don't know. Anyway, let's just quit messing around. I'm going to do, I need to do a compass calibration and a horizontal calibration, because it asks you to do that after a firmware update. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll get this bird in the air. Okay, so we did a compass calibration as well as a horizontal calibration, and it automatically asked me to do the GPS lock to the phone, so we went ahead and did that. And it's reporting ready to fly. Let's switch to video mode and look at our settings. Yeah, we're 4K 30, white balance, sunny day. It is cloudy today, so I'm going to change that to cloudy. And I'm going to go ahead and start recording. So far so good on the recording. Let's just go ahead and hit takeoff. I'm going to hit takeoff on the app, and by the way, I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro Max. First time I've used this phone to fly anything. So we're taking off. Wow, so you guys can see that, very smooth, no Hubsan drop. It was perfect. The other thing that was different is what I didn't hear is, you know, the way it kicks the motors to spread the props? I didn't hear that. So yeah, I don't know what that's about, but boy, oh boy, look at that thing. It's just steady as a rock. Now, I'm going to say there's no wind, and it's a cool day. It's about 58 degrees. Let's bring it in here to take a look at it. Boy, this is, I gotta tell you guys, this is smoother than I've ever seen this drone. Now, I'm gonna also say that there is no wind today, so but I have never seen this drone, I've never seen it that stable. So let's quit messing around. Well, heck, let's do a quick yaw around. That's something I like to do. And you do see it moving a little bit on yaw, but that's not unusual. Okay, there we are. Let's drop it down just a little bit and bring it over. Let's do the usual manual droney, backwards and up, backwards and up. Drop the camera here a little. Wow, the drone is flying really good. Horizon looks good. So far so good. Okay. Well, I'm kind of feeling pretty confident here, guys. I've got 22 satellites. I gotta tell you, I don't remember ever having that many satellites with the Zino. Well, let me adjust the yaw here. Let's head out and let's go across the road here like we've done in the past. I'm feeling confident enough that I'm willing to run this baby out there and let's just see what she does. Now I can tell you the video is looking pretty good on FPV. I mean, I'm not seeing the pulses that we saw before, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, when we get that card out, it could be completely different. I'm going to go ahead and get across into the field here. So we're over the top of that field. I'm telling you, I'm feeling pretty good, guys. Let's see how far out here we can go. We're at 430, 450 meters. Oh, battery's low, so holy cow, 55% battery. Yeah, maybe I won't push it like as much as I thought. I'm going to tell you this. This is that same battery I was telling you about the other day that didn't seem like I got as much of a charge on. It's the very first battery I had with this drone, so yeah, I might just shelf this battery because that is concerning. We're at 850 meters. We're almost there, so let's go ahead and see what she does. 900 meters. I've never been out over a kilometer, and yeah, there I'm losing it. Yep. Or at least FPV is frozen on me, I can tell you that. Yeah, aircraft disconnected. So I'm pointed right at it. So that's consistent with what I've always seen. That's about as far as I've ever been able to go with this guy. Let's hope, yeah, it's already turned around. I'm going to go ahead and hit, give it the return to home signal. So let's get it coming back. And there it disconnected again, but hopefully it's still moving. Oh, look at distance. It's saying it's out over a kilometer, so maybe I did get that far. Maybe I just, yeah, maybe I got over a click. However, it was, you know, it could have been on the way out that I wasn't getting all the telemetry. I can't tell you. But that's consistent. That's consistent with what I've always seen with this bird. You know, I get right about a kilometer, just short of a kilometer. That time I may have got over the top over it, but that's what I've seen in the past anyway. So it's on its way back. What we'll do is we'll see if it'll do a precision landing here. I'm interested to see if it'll do that. So I'll shut off the camera right as the bird gets back into the park here and over the top of us. And it's coming back. It's doing about its usual about almost 8 meters per second. Not quite. 7.5 to 8. Well, there's 8.5. It's kind of moving around there a little bit, but 7.5 to 8 meters per second. I don't know. That's about, what is it, 16 or 17 miles an hour, I think. So we're back over the top of the park here at 45% battery. So we did pretty good coming back. I'm going to shut off the camera now, and we'll see if it'll do a precision landing. On the change log, it had precision landing. To try precision landing, it had it on there in red. Now that was on there on the last change log too, so I don't know if they actually updated anything on that this time or not, but we'll give it a shot here. So the drone's coming down. Let's see if it drops the camera and goes into that precision landing mode. Yeah, there it did. So it dropped the camera. It's searching for the apron. Yeah, look at that. It's got the X on it. So it's finding it and losing it. Let's see how it does. It's slowed way down. It could do it. It looks like it's pretty close. It picked the camera back up now. It's darn close. I'm gonna just let it land. So we mowed the grass. As you guys can see on the screen there, we're just a little bit off, but that was pretty close. But close, not close enough. That wasn't precision landing. Let's take off real quick and let's try some stuff. So I liked how stable that was, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the takeoff button on the controller this time, and let's see what happens. Boy, look at that! That is really, yeah, you can see that on the camera. It's it doesn't do that kick of the props like it used to, and boy, this is as smooth as I've seen it. I'm telling you. So I'm gonna see if I'm gonna put it in sport mode and see if something's changed there just for the fun of it. So I switched it into sport mode, as you can see on the screen. Let's head out to the corner of the park here, and we know our top speed is about 8 meters per second. Let's see if it does any better. Nah, just about the same, so really no change there. Yep, no change there. So let's just for the fun of it, let's head out to that opposite corner, and where I'm at full throttle. We'll see what it does here. 7.4, 7.7. Yeah, it'll get about to that 8 meters per second, 8.1, and that's about it. Let's I wonder when it will kick into automatic RTH here. Drop the gimbal just a little bit. One thing about the Zino is it sure has had a consistent horizon. I always appreciate that they've had a good flat horizon on this thing. And we're at 100% again, and we're coming back. I'm just going to fly it around within the park here a little. Let's let it, I want to see if it'll go into RTH at 25%. It did. So right at 25%, as soon as it hit 25%, it kicked it into return to home. So I just realized I didn't have the camera on there, so we'll leave the camera off and let's see if it'll do another precision landing. I'll just use the screen recording for our for what we show on screen for this one, but yeah, so that won't tell us anything with regard to. I'm going to just get one quick recording here, because I want to do that because, okay, I shut the camera off. I just did a quick little bit of video there. I want to be able to look at that 3.8 camera firmware and see what it came up with. Which reminds me, I forgot to look at the firmware versions when we were in the menu, so we'll do that here before we shut it down. And so it dropped the camera, as you saw there, and it's looking for the boy, it's funny, it gets that X right on it and then it moves off, and that's always a mystery to me, how it can. You'd think the hard part would be getting it, and then you'd think once it gets it, although it's on it now, although that, you know, it's there, then it disappears. Well, I think we might get it. It's funny to watch the bird come down. It's easing its way down. There's algorithms in there that are working pretty hard, but you see the bullseye is right on it. I wonder if I have to tell it to land. I'm going to go ahead and hit land. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? Let's just let it do what it's doing there. Look at that, it nailed it. Right in the center of the pad. Okay. Good for you, Hubsan. 50% here. You were close on that first one, but this time, I don't know, guys. I don't know how you get any closer than that. It is right on the H. That was fun. Can you tell I'm having fun? Okay, so I'm going to go into menus here so we can check the firmware version. So app version 3.8.0. Let's go into the bird here. Yeah, so firmware version, so that's the camera, the one at the very bottom. FPV firmware version is the one that I told you I upgraded to, that we had, that was very problematic last time. V0.3.8, and the flight control firmware is V1.2.04. So that's different than what we've seen in the past. So let's see, I can't remember where do I find the gimbal. Yeah, there's the gimbal firmware, of course, in the gimbal. Yeah, so the gimbal firmware, I'm pretty sure that was unchanged. That's V3.0.2.2. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure that is unchanged. But anyway, I'm going to call that a resounding success. Now we didn't do a lot, and obviously I didn't have a battery with a lot of juice in it, and I don't know if it got sucked up by doing all of the upgrades and all that. So no doubt that probably played into it, because it's the same battery that I did all the firmware updates. Then I came here and I did all the calibrations before we took off. But we went out a kilometer and we lost connection and came back. As soon as I got connection back, I manually put it into RTH because I wanted it to get it back here just as quick as I could. Then we flew it around here. Excuse me, let me back up a little bit. We tried one landing. We let it land. It was just a little bit less than a foot off of the landing pad. Took off again, and it nailed the landing perfectly, which was really fun. And the other thing that I've noticed, and it could be a function of the weather today too, because there's virtually no wind. I mean, if there's a breeze, it is so slight you can barely feel it. But the bird was very, very smooth. I just don't know that I ever remember the Zino being that stable. As you saw, I brought it right into the camera, so, you know, and I felt fine about it, no problems there. The other thing that I noticed is when the Zino first takes off, because of the folding props and DJI and Fimi do the same thing. It kicks the props a couple times to make sure they're spread out. I didn't hear that with the Zino. It just fired up the motors and took off, but it was very smooth and was good. So anyway, that's that. Let me shut it down here and we'll do a quick conclusion. Well, shoot, I guess we've already kind of done a conclusion. So we talked our way all through that flight. Let's just call that the conclusion. I'm going to let me back up a little bit. I need to look at the video when I get home. I can tell you, looking at the video on the FPV, it looked fine. I saw no pulsing, and I remember previously when I tried that 3.8, holy cow, I could see it on the FPV. I could see it was bad. I did not see that on the FPV. As soon as I get home, I'm going to stick that SD card in my computer and take a look at the video and see how it looks. But I'm cautiously optimistic that it's just fine. And if that's the case, then I'm just going to, you know, at least personally, I'm giving my blessing to this firmware. It seems good to me. I mean, just limited testing I've done right here. So anyway, So you saw in the video that version 0.3.8 FPV firmware still had the pulsing in it and just plain doesn't look good. So as soon as I got home, I rolled the FPV firmware back to the 0.3.6 version. I always keep those old files just for that very reason. And as you can see here, the video looks pretty good. There's none of that pulsing and issues that we saw in the newer version. So I would recommend that you not upgrade to that 0.3.8. Although, as I've said, you do have to upgrade everything when you upgrade the flight control firmware, or at least that's what I do. And so I would recommend reloading that older version. You have to question why Hubsan has left that flawed FPV firmware as is. One of the reasons that we buy these video camera drones is obviously for good video. And when you don't have it, you know, it kind of, what's the point? So I'm hoping that that's something that they'll address at some point. But in the meantime, hang on to that version 0.3.6. That's about it. And if I find something when I get back home and put that SD card in, I will insert something in this video so you'll know that. But hey, that's it. You're tired of hearing me talk. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we'll get a Zino Pro ordered just as soon as we can. And we'll see how that baby does. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. We got it with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Went with a great big dog. You know, as you get older, you can't see, so you need a big phone. See ya.